What is up and welcome back, and today we have a close-up of the Zion 3, and hopefully with this video you can decide if this basketball sneaker is going to be towards your liking, if you're going to be able to ball in it, and also we're going to talk about the sizing. You're definitely going to want to get the sizing down correctly because it can really break this sneaker, unfortunately. So with that said, let's dive right in. And the first thing I want to talk about is going to be the aesthetics. Okay, the aesthetics, in my opinion, are fantastic. This shoe does look very futuristic, sci-fi looking. Yet it kind of has this sleek, kind of modern feel to it as well. So big A+ for the looks. Definitely gonna look good on the basketball court. And for the materials, you are going to get synthetics, but it is going to be a plush feeling sneaker. Okay. It's not going to be materials too thick or materials too thin, kind of something in between. So that way you can expect. And definitely, as you know, if you watch some of the videos I make, I love shoes that feel very plush and the materials are quality. Okay. So for the breathability, it is going to be something kind of in the middle as well, because here's a close-up of the material. You can see it's not going to be too thin. And then back here around the collar, ankle area, you are going to get a nice amount of padding. Okay, nothing overdone, but you do get side padding as well. And let me pull out the other sneaker so you can see that. You can get a better look at the padding inside. We have it right here already unlaced for you. You can see that kind of has these side pillows on both sides. Then on the other side, you're gonna have it right there. Okay, so you definitely feel very good right here in the ankle area, and also the tongue has a little bit of padding and also this wording. You can see that right there. Shock the world. That's what it says. And I definitely was shocked when I put this sneaker on. Okay, gonna say that right now. As you know, I try to be honest with these reviews. With all the other lineups for the Zion 1 and the Zion 2, I did not have a problem with the sizing, but for this one, this sneaker does feel a lot more narrow. Okay, and I am a wide footer, so my foot, I definitely feel some discomfort right here in the pinky and even the toe. It kind of depends. If you don't feel it right here, then you're going to feel it over here at the toe, and then vice versa. If you don't feel it right here, you're going to feel it on this side. Okay, so I did try to make this shoe work with my regular sizing. I did loosen up the laces a whole lot, try to get into the sneaker, and it was very difficult. Okay, so if you don't size it correctly, you are going to have a very hard time getting into this sneaker because, like I said, it is very narrow. Okay, pretty much you're going to have to go a half size up if you're narrow or regular. Okay, if you are a wide footer, definitely go a full size up. Okay, because if you don't, then the sneaker is going to be very tight. Okay, so if you like very tight sneakers, then just go your usual sizing. Okay, and if you do end up going your usual sizing, you're going to have to unlace everything and then pull every line of laces. Okay, then pull the tongue all the way to the front. And believe me, I was able to get into the sneaker, but to do that every time, it is going to be very uncomfortable and time consuming. Okay, and not to mention annoying. So definitely get the correct sizing, and it's going to make it a lot easier and comfortable to wear this sneaker. Okay, so with that covered, again, the spider effect right here for the upper, a little bit more on the details for the materials. It is going to be a reinforcement for the material. Okay, it's a lot more thicker right here with all the padding that we talked about, and then it gets a lot more thinner. So they did add this spider effect, not just for aesthetics, but in order to make the material a lot more firmer. As you can tell, the shoe doesn't cave in on itself. So this right here is very nice that they added. Again, it just kind of serves as a side wall for the sneaker on both sides. So very good. It is going to help out with the, again, longevity of the sneaker. But something I did not like is, as you can tell, the splatter effect does roll over, has a whole bunch up here around the lacing area. Definitely they added that there because you're going to be pulling on the material. So that reinforces this area so it doesn't break this material right here. But I would have wished they would have carried that splatter effect more along the edges, especially on the interior. As you can tell right here, it is somewhat thin, right? You don't have a lot of material on top of this area, and if you do toe drag, that can be a problem, especially if you're thinking of using this sneaker outside. I am a heavy toe dragger, especially with some crossovers. I do this a lot, I notice, with some moves. So that right there can be, again, a liability for you if you play outdoors, okay? You play indoors, you're not gonna have that problem because it's kind of hard for the material to rip on the smooth wooden floor, okay? So again, there are some details. If you're thinking of buying this shoe, think about your play style, okay? And what I do love about this sneaker, moving on a little bit more to the lower portion of it, is I do love the support it has. You feel very comfortable when you're wearing it, right? I feel very balanced. You can jump real high in this sneaker. You don't have a problem if you land in the front, the middle, or the back. Especially if you land in the front, it's not as thick as the back, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But if you have good balance, you're not gonna have no problem whatsoever through the whole sneaker, okay? And as we know, Zion, he's very powerful, very athletic. So Jordan definitely built a shoe for him that can withstand all that, even though it's not as bulky as his other models, the Zion 1 or the Zion 2, okay? I do like how the laces work. They do a good job with the lacing system. Definitely use the upper hole, right? On this model, I have it how the shoe came, okay? But on the one I showed you over here, let me just demonstrate this. I did end up using the top hole, and instead of having the lace come in over the top, because they arrive like this over the top, then it enters and is pulled like that, have it come in through the underneath part, okay? So it wraps around over, okay? Like this, over. I felt it to be a lot more comfortable this way, okay? So that's something you can experiment and see what's going to be towards your liking, but definitely if you're trying to improve the lockdown, use this top hole, okay? Talk a little bit more. Love the aesthetics, love the Zion logo. The little Jordan at the bottom looks very nice right there, okay? You're going to have a very sizable internal heel counter, pretty much around this tall, and it extends all the way to like right here, so it wraps around kind of like that, okay? And the height's going to be about that high. So very good. I love basketball sneakers with very good heel counters. This one right here has it, and that's what you expect from a shoe that cost 140 USD. So happy that they, of course, they added that onto here, and then they add all this extra material for added stability. And again, Zion's a very powerful player, so you definitely have to protect them, and they're adding all this right here. So if you do have a lot of power in your game, especially when you're getting up there, right, the block shots, the maybe do acrobatic layups or dunk on people, you're going to be very supported. Just look at all that, okay? And again, this shoe is not like the 1 or 2. The 1 and 2 was a lot more wider, a lot more material. That's why you can see that it has an extra outrigger right here in the middle. Hopefully you can see it right here on the outside, but then they added one right here in the middle. You see that right there? Hopefully with the lighting you can see that. Turn it to the side, and all that's going to help out with the balance of the shoe, especially when you're stepping right or landing. You have that extra outrigger right here in the middle to give you that extra stability and support for those powerful landings, okay? So I'm very good that even though this shoe is more narrow than his other models, but they're thinking about those details, okay? So you can see how the shoe is working, and now let's look a little bit on the inside and the cushioning. So if we get this one right here, you can see it does come with that Strobel unit right there, okay? So that's gonna help the drop-in not slide. Whenever you do have a drop-in, you want to add something underneath it. Okay, so it helps it not slide within. Okay, a very nice strobo they added onto here. Now this is going to be the drop-in midsole. Definitely do like it a whole lot. You can see the quality in it. You are going to have the Formula 23 for this blue material. You can see there's a lot of it, and especially in the back, just look at that. Very sizable amount. You just press down. Very good amount in the back. Then it gets a lot more thinner in the front. Okay, not that much material in the front. And you definitely want not that much material, because then you get better ground feel. Then you can feel your moves and be very explosive on the takeoffs. But you do have a lot of material in the back for the landings. So very impressed that they went with this type of setup. Then you're also going to have a plate right here in the middle. Again, it's a big time size plate, okay? And I'm just imagining Zion has a whole bunch of power, needs a whole bunch of support, so they're adding a very big sizable amount. And if you're like me, you need that arch support. I do have weak arches because my foot is almost flat-footed. So something like this is going to help me out a whole lot, where I just feel that I have good stability and minimizes any pain underneath. So very happy to see this drop-in have all that, and not to mention the air unit. Okay, air unit in the front. Again, trying to be explosive. Zion, he can get up there quick, right? Quick rebounds, quick going up and dunking on people. So this little extra air unit right here is going to give you a little bit extra bounce. So again, good details all throughout. Okay, my only complaint about this type of drop-in is the design on the top where your foot lands. As you can tell, there is going to be no sock liner, so that foot can slide a little bit once you get some sweat going. Would have been nicer to have thicker ridges throughout the whole thing, or a type of sock liner that kind of help absorb some of that sweat, or even just hold your foot a little bit, stop it from sliding. But that's why I mentioned, definitely with drop-in insoles, make sure you're getting the sizing correctly, okay? Because you have something that sits inside the sneaker that's dropped in. And then if you get the wrong sizing, then your foot's gonna be sliding, and this can slide a little bit, okay? If it's well done, which this one feels it is, it's very in there nice and tight and secure, so you don't really feel any moving. But once you've been playing this shoe for a nice long while, then you do start feeling a little bit of moving. That's just natural. So if you want to be able to play in this sneaker for a long time, definitely get the sizing down. And now moving on to the traction. This is going to be the pattern you're going to have. For the most part, you are going to have two types of materials. This translucent in the back, okay? Then in the front, this harder rubber in blue and pink, okay? And I do like the idea behind this traction. They did give you the herringbone right here in the forefoot, and that's the area you need it the most, okay? So you're covered in the front, and then in the back, the pattern is going to be these lines that go like this in this direction, and then they change direction and they move up, okay? So you kind of have this sort of multi-directional kind of idea going, a pattern in the front and a different one in the back, okay? So I like that they try to give you a little bit of both, but my only complaint is going to be this traction does feel somewhat sticky, and that could be good on a clean court. It is going to grip good, but if you do play it on dusty basketball courts or even outside, this kind of stickier, translucent type traction can pick up a lot of dust. So just make sure you're wiping here and there so you maintain a very nice grip while you're playing for the whole game. Okay, so that's going to do it for the close-up of this sneaker. And before we go, I did want to mention a few more things. So if you don't like to play in low tops, sometimes I don't, but with this sneaker it felt very good. I do like how it looks, okay? So definitely a shoe with a lot of style, and don't think that low top is going to bother you. Give this shoe a try and you'll see it's going to look fantastic when you're playing on it. And I do feel very secure. Okay, sometimes with some low tops you don't feel secure, but with this one you do, all throughout and even around the ankle area. Okay, the next thing I want to mention is the weight of this sneaker. I like to play around 12 to 13 ounces. This one is going to be 12.8. So it's going to be right there in the ballpark. So not too heavy at all, not like the Zion 2, okay? 12.8, that's a good range, okay? Definitely gonna feel a little bit lighter on your feet. And like I mentioned, this sneaker goes for 140 USD for a drop-in that has all that tech, and then the shoe is very supportive with the splatter effect that we talked about. You can land in the back if you're a high flyer, if you have a lot of power in your game, and then it's also very responsive in the front. Everything we talked about. The cushion is not too thick, so you get good ground feel, and then has that harder rubber with the herringbone for that very nice grip and feel. Okay, so definitely a sneaker I can recommend to everybody. There was the Zion 3, and if you got a lot out of this video, make sure you sub and like. I am a smaller channel, so every little bit goes a long way. We'll be back next time with more. Until then, peace.